Namaste. See, this is a podcast of my blog titled Body to Buddhahood: How to Move on the Path to Our Inner Being. Our being has three layers: doing, thinking, and feeling. The first layer of our being is doing. We do things through our hands and legs. We do things through our bodies. This is the doing aspect of our being. Doing is physical. This is the physical layer of our being. This is the outermost layer. This is our physical quotient. The second layer is thinking. This is the mental layer of our being. This is our intellectual layer. This is the mind of the being. This is the layer below the physical layer. This determines our intellectual quotient. The feeling is the third layer. It is our emotional layer. This is the heart of the being. This layer is below the intellectual layer, and this determines our emotional quotient. Just think of three concurrent circles with one common center. The top circle is our physical quotient. The second circle is our intellectual quotient. The third circle is our emotional quotient. The center is our soul. This is our spiritual quotient. The doing aspect is nothing but the manifestation of our thoughts and emotions. We think we are doing things, but somewhere deep down, that doing is the manifestation of our thoughts and emotions. The thoughts can be negative or positive, and the emotions can also be positive or negative. Each layer has its own cause and effect phenomenon. The effect has its roots in the cause. Sometimes we may get angry and agitated. As a consequence, we may be abusing or hitting somebody. Hurting somebody by either verbally abusing or physically hitting is the effect of the cause of the negative thoughts and negative emotions. In the ancient scriptures, particularly in Hindu mythology, the thoughts and emotions are represented by snakes or waves of the ocean as metaphors. The thoughts are like the floating waves of the ocean. The emotions are serpentine like the snakes. They are always moving. The very word emotions is nothing but something that is moving and changing. The word mood swings has also been derived from this root word called emotion. We know the agitated state of the ocean and the silent state of the ocean. Since the thoughts and emotions are changing and moving, the transformation of these thoughts and emotions is possible. The whole process of transformation of these thoughts and emotions from negative to positive and then to neutral is a part of the process of meditation or dhyana. This is a part of our spiritual journey. The silent state simply means that now we are in command and control of both the positive and negative states. Now both the states are at our command and control. In this state, we can have a top view of the situation, and we can strike a balanced view of the whole situation. In this state, we can have total control of our being. Let us take the example of a tightrope walker. The whole process of the balancing act of the tightrope walker is a great learning experience. There is a big learning curve in this. Initially, he tries and falls. He again tries and falls. This goes on and on until he achieves a balancing state. He learns this art by and by, and ultimately he becomes a master of his own art. To achieve this balancing act on the rope, he takes the help of a pole. This pole helps him in creating a balance. When he leans towards the left, he moves the pole towards the right. And when he leans towards the right, he moves the poles towards the left. This third thing and an external thing help him achieve the balance. This pole acts like a meditation. There are three positions in the whole process: the left, the right, and the middle. The process of mindfulness, meditation, or dhyana can lead to a balanced state of the mind. Let us take the example of a car. The car has three gears. The gear is actually one but has three states: the forward gear, the backward gear, and the neutral gear. The forward and backward gears have their root through the common center called the neutral. In the beginning, when the car was invented, there was only forward gear and there was no backward gear because the neutral was not yet discovered. The then drivers of the car had to take a roundabout journey because there was no backward gear. The neutral or the silent state of the mind is not to be taken in that ordinary and negative sense. It is a more stronger and stable state. All these three states of the gear have their own importance and utility. A better driver of a car has mastered the use and application of all these three states. The whole process of learning and observing acts like a meditation or dhyana, and this eventually results in the mastery of the art of driving. Let us take a third example of an atomic structure. Let us look at the whole structure of an atom. There are electrons, protons, and neutrons in the atom. The electrons are negatively charged particles and are in the outermost orbit of the atom. This actually is the periphery of the atom. The protons and neutrons are in the nucleus. They are at the very center of the atom. The protons are positively charged particles and the neutrons are no charge or neutrally charged particles. They are in the very core of the atom. Protons and neutrons are much heavier than electrons. Neutrons are more powerful than electrons and protons in terms of penetration power. Electrons have the highest penetrating power of the three particles. Similar is the situation of our being. As we move towards the center of our being, the power increases. The spiritual quotient is more powerful than the physical quotient, and the intellectual quotient, and the emotional quotient. At the very center of our being is our soul. The soul is our spiritual center. This is our spiritual quotient. This is the power center of our being. This center of our being is an infinite reservoir of spiritual energy. As we move on this spiritual path, slowly and slowly, by and by, we will attain this state of infinite spiritual energy. And here in this state, we realize that the whole being is in command and control of our soul. One day this state becomes our existential realization. It becomes our living experience. It becomes our existential experience. This is the state of our awakening or enlightenment. And this is the state of our true being. This is called the body being. This is the way of moving from the body to the being. This is where Buddha said that our body is a door to our Buddhahood. This state determines our spiritual quotient. All this is possible through the right thinking, right feeling, and right action. The three forces that churn our being are tamas, rajas, and sattva. The force of tamas takes us into the past of regression. The force of rajas takes us into the future of progression. And the force of sattva brings us dynamic equilibrium, or balance, or equanimity. Mathematically, spiritual quotient SQ is equal to intellectual quotient IQ plus emotional quotient EQ. This is where Vedas say yad bhavam tad bhavati. That is, you become what you think. This is exactly where Buddha says, as we think, so we become. Thank you so much. Thank you for listening.